This
And
conference will now be recorded.
we are now being recorded, so please watch what you say. Waiting for next screen. Can everybody see my big fancy schmancy agenda?
Yeah.
All right.
Very nice.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy's here. All right. It'll be very simple. We're here today to introduce this Slack group to NEO STC, let you know why we're here, and if you're not familiar with Slack already, we hope to introduce you a little bit so that you can get in and jump in and play around. I'm going to mute the rest of the people on the call just so that we don't have external noise, but when we have other presenters, I will unmute you as necessary. So I'm Tricia Speyer, the current Vice President of Northeast Ohio STC. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. And also with me and with us are our President, Bob Young. We also have our administrators for the Slack group, who are Julianne Forsyth and Sarah Buchanan, who will be jumping in a few minutes here. We hope to keep this webinar short and sweet, and therefore I'm going to turn the presentation over to Bob Young just to say hello and introduce himself to the chapter. Take it away, Bob. Do you want the screen at all?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We can keep it there. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be back serving as president. One thing that Trish and I had talked about early on was the fact that we want to open up the lines of communication to the membership. The one problem that we feel, even the task force that we talked about this past summer, was we're communicators that don't communicate very well. And so we're going to change that. And I think that this is an excellent vehicle to do that. This will allow, and I credit Trish for going in here and finding this. It's an excellent software to use to go in and just talk to other members. If you have an issue, you can talk. The one thing that we don't want this to turn into is that you've got a book that you read for sale for $5. We don't really want it. That's not what it's intended for. It's more or less stuff that's ongoing with your work life. Just think about what you would have a conversation with another STC member. The other thing is there is a random section that's called random, and if you want to put pictures out there, or if you want to tell them that you read this book and you got a lot out of it, that's a perfect place to do it too. So I'm going to turn this back to Trish, but our one thing that you're going to hear us talk about a lot this year is about the fact that we're going to open up the lines of communication. We feel that that's the only way that we're going to sustain our current membership as well as build for the future. So I want to thank Trish and Julianne and Sarah for everything that they've done to this point to get this rolling. And I really do hope that the members start using it and see the value for it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to go ahead and mute Bob for a little bit. And Bob already took part of my presentation, the fact that we do want our members to be engaged more. And I know that we send out a lot of constant contact emails, but we never get any feedback because you can't reply to a constant contact and talk to anybody else in the group. So we wanted people to be able to just engage, talk beyond the monthly meetings and the social events that we have. So we also would like you to share your ideas about the chapter and about STC and TechCom and all that good stuff. And so we explored a few different platforms. Those of you who've been around for several years might remember the old mailman email list. And we actually tested that out a few months ago, but it got no traction. So we kind of abandoned that one. I tried something called Groups.io, which I was using for a different organization. I personally liked it because it notified my email every time something came up. But eventually the people in the chapter that I talked to all sort of migrated over to Slack. They were familiar with it from their different work aspects, and apparently they've used this before. But Slack turned out to be more of a casual, informal sort of platform that we ended up liking. We can upload pictures and documents, and it's familiar. We can do integrations and all kinds of fun things like that. So let's go ahead and look at Slack. I'll maximize this screen. This is me working on the Slack, what do they call that? The web application. So I just maximized my screen here, and I'll talk for just a minute about the different channels that we have. Hopefully everybody can see this screen. It looks like it. All right, so you'll see NEO STC at the top, and thanks to Sarah, we have our little logo up here. This is the channel Slack group that we are in. If you're working with other groups, maybe work, maybe other STC committees or something like that, you might have other things on your screen that you can access from this same application. The STC Webmasters has a different Slack group, and the STC Community Programs has a different group, so you can access it all from the same application. For NEO STC, we have a few channels. One is chapter discussions, and this is about what's going on in NEO STC. There's one integration that I have in there, which is an automatic thing that I set up from an administrative Gmail account. So I'll update a calendar item in Gmail, and then this Slack application pulls that information in, and it sends out reminders, and it lets you know if there's any events happening today in STC. But also we might post, we have a new program coming out, or maybe there's a social event coming out. Maybe there's something in the chapter that everybody needs to know about. Anything that you want to know or talk about the chapter itself, this is the place to go. The general channel might be anything regarding TechCom. A few months ago when we were trying this out, we were talking about how to become a content strategist, and Sarah was very interested in that. And I know that Julianne and I posted a bunch of stuff. I would have to scroll back up, and we can get there eventually, but there we go, become a content strategist. You can upload information. There's a PDF on here. Julianne sent all kinds of links and information about books that you can look at. So anything regarding TechCom general is the place to go. And as Bob mentioned a little bit ago, there's a random thing. We just started using this to kind of start chilling out on Fridays. Monty might be up there reading a book on the beach, or you might just be talking about going fishing or your kittens or anything. It's not allowed in our chapter to talk about strange things. And if you don't want to participate in the random part, don't. But you can go ahead and maybe post information about a new award that you won, or whatever you want to talk about that might be off topic. The only rules that we have, and Bob alluded to this already, would be don't blatantly sell anything. You can mention that you might have a product for sale, but I would not advise you to overtake the conversation and try to sell people. The only other rule is don't be a jerk. And what we mean by this is there's enough ugliness in social media and all that, outside of TechCom, but we're nice people. Let's just be nice to each other, and let's not get ugly. That's all. We have one integration in this channel called STC Magazines in the Notebook. I don't know how many of you were actually familiar with the STC Notebook blog, but the STC office will update some information on the blog now and then, and they'll talk about certain articles. Last week there was getting published before you graduate with the IDL SIG. They'll post articles, but in order to get there, you usually had to remember to actually go out to the site and look at it. Well, we've integrated this RSS feed to publish this information to this channel so you know what's going on with STC International. And you see that recently they posted a lot of information about intercom, all the different articles in there. So
I'm going to jump in here just a second, Trish, to build on this.
Okay.
And this is a valuable part of membership that we also feel has been missing. People wonder, okay, I'm a member of this organization. What am I getting from it? And then TechCom, they went to online. And if you're like me, I get it sent and I put it in a special folder. And then 3 weeks later, I haven't looked at it. But this is great. I have started using this. If just maybe after lunch, or if you've got about 10 minutes or something. I read there was an article up here, well, I can't get to it, that came from Scott Abel. I encourage you to take a look at this, because this is an excellent way of staying in touch with not only your career, but also with what other chapters or what STC is doing in general. So I'm sorry to jump in there, but we're very focused on get the benefits of membership and giving it back to what what you intend to get from it. So that's my little 2 cents, but thank you, Trish.
All right. Thanks, Bob. And I'm going to turn it over for a few minutes to our other administrator, Sarah Buchanan, who's going to talk about how you can set up your own preferences in Slack. And I will switch presenter to Sarah.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everyone else?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
All right, awesome. So if you don't know me, my name is Sarah Buchanan. I am the newsletter editor for NEO STC, and I've been working with Trisha and Julianne with getting this Slack set up and everything. And so I just want to show you guys a few things to help you configure it to work for your needs. As you can see here, I have the web browser up. I personally use the desktop app. You can do everything I'm going to show you from both places, so whatever works for you. But if you go down here, you can hit the down arrow and you get information on your profile. If you're part of multiple groups, they will show up. But if we just jump to profile and account, it's going to come up here and it's going to show you information about your personal profile. So if you go to edit profile, you can fill out how you want it to display, your name. I put what I do as part of NEO STC. You can fill out any of these or not as you see fit. I also have my email on here and my LinkedIn. But this just helps people get to know you. They can hover over your name and they will get, hopefully, maybe, hold on. I lied. Maybe it's just the desktop app. Well, I'm lying. Oh, you have to click it. There you go, guys. Sorry. If you click it, you will get information on the person. So you can see their display name, their full name, their position, anything that they filled out in that information. Further, let's see, let's jump back to profile and account. If you hit your account settings button right here, you can also see notifications right here. I recommend that you actually take time to read through these. This will determine how much Slack interrupts you or doesn't interrupt you. But specifically, I want to jump down and talk about email preferences. So this will determine how often you get emails and what type of emails you get. So filling this out can help cut down on some of the notifications, especially if you use a desktop app and you get live notifications. So definitely take some time to go through there. But if we jump back, I also want to show you, like Trisha talked about, maybe you don't want to follow random. You don't want to get notifications every time you're in here. If you go, the settings, channel settings, you can mute this channel so that you don't get notifications every single time someone posts in here. As you can see, my STC Magazine's notebook is muted because I come in here daily and I don't want to actually have to go there every time as a live notification. But you can do that on individual channels. Further, you'll see that I have turned on Do Not Disturb. I was doing single tasking this morning, so I turned off my live notifications for this app, which you can also do. It helps people know when you are or aren't available because it will show that Z next to your name. And I also add a status. You don't have to do this, but you can. It can help people understand either why you're away or maybe why you're not replying. And you can just take it off just as quickly. So my statuses went away, and I can also turn off Do Not Disturb, and now I am there and ready to go. So one other thing I want to show you guys is how to search. It can be very, very useful. And if you come up here, like let's say, so look, it brought up a document, but if I also hit enter, it brings me up any time that we discussed a board meeting. And you can filter by this. Let's say you're looking for something you specifically want to see Bob's announcement, where he told us the wrong date. It's actually tomorrow. But you can find this, and you can quickly filter by channel, by people, and then it is always there in your search. So you can see where I search board and then where I filtered it. So it's always there. You can also clear them out of your searches, but it's a quick way to find information, especially if you remember somebody sent you something, but you can't remember where it's at or when it happened. Searching will help you. I think that was the quick and dirty list I had. Any questions?
I think that was a great overview.
All right. Okay. I don't know how to give you back control.
I'll take it. And here I am. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the information. A couple of us have mentioned this desktop app. If you were a dinosaur like me, you still use email for just about everything. And my preference was that when something happens, I would be emailed for it. However, Julianne and Sarah have showed me the light where there's this desktop app that makes things even a little easier for even me. So there's a link that Julianne sent us, and maybe I can try that search thing.
Trish, are you sharing your screen?
Am I? Oops.
I don't see it. Is that just me?
Oh. There we are. Sorry.
Thank you.
You should see me now.
Yep.
Sorry about that. So there's this desktop app that Slack has that you can go to and download if you have permission from your IT department to run on your computer. And I do that. Right now I am in the app version, even though I've maximized it on my screen. It normally looks a little bit smaller like this, so you can move it around and that sort of thing. When somebody does something in the app, in Slack, let's say that Sarah posts a message to chapter discussions. Sarah, would you do that? I will have this minimized. If you could just go ahead and type something. So let's say I'm working in my document and all of a sudden I'll get a message over here. This is a Windows 10 notification on the right side of my screen. I don't know if you heard that little knock, but there was also a knock from Slack that notifies me that something's happening here. So I can open this up and I'll say that general is highlighted and Sarah said hello. So now I know that something is going on in Slack when I have the notifications allowed on my screen. So that's one benefit that it has. There's also the benefit, like Sarah said, that you can set yourself away if you're in the middle of a conversation. I've done this a couple of times, and then I had to run off to Toastmasters or something like that. I might set myself out of the office, and that way people will know that they don't have to respond, or you will not be responding right away. Also, there's other things like direct messages. You might see down here that there's some names from the chapter that you might want to ask somebody something specifically. I've had a couple of direct conversations with Sarah and Julianne. We're the administrators, and this is how we communicate, right through Slack itself. You could send yourself a message, tell myself to wake up, and right even here, it says you could talk to yourself, you can keep your to-do lists, and this is your very own space. All right. Also, this Slack app, I don't have to remember to open it up. When I log into Windows in the morning, my desktop icons come up, and the Slack application opens itself up. I don't have to worry about logging in. I don't have to remember to go there ever. So it's something that's done automatically for me, and I find that's very beneficial. I don't have to remember to look at NEO STC that day. All right. We are approaching the 12:22 time in our schedule, and I would like to go ahead and open it up if anybody has any questions for us about Slack. I think I've unmuted people, and you can go ahead and use the chat window as well. And if you're thinking of questions, I'll go ahead and throw this out too. We'd like to use Slack as an idea place. Maybe after a program, we continue the conversation afterwards in Slack. This Slack group is limited to only the NEO STC members, and it's a smaller group, and
Right.
hopefully we'll keep it professional.
Mm-hmm.
I've
got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
This is Bob. If I wanted to have a personal conversation, does everybody see everything? Or if I wanted to talk to Sarah, do I just click on her name and then just start typing? And is it only seen by Sarah?
The personal conversations are kept personal. So this conversation that I have right here with Sarah and Julianne is limited to just Sarah, Julianne, and me. So
Okay.
so I can go over to you, Bob, send you a message, and you and I would be the only ones that see that.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right. If anybody else is really familiar with Slack too, and you know of integrations that we can add or other apps that we can add to this program, let us know, because personally I'm very new to this, and the RSS feed for the notebook is about the biggest thing that we figured out so far. So if you know of anything good, just let us know.
This is Julianne. I don't know of any integrations, but I wanted to point out too that you can upload documents into Slack.
Oh, yeah.
I found that very helpful, like taking over the webmaster duties. And Kim gave me a bunch of documents, and I didn't want to lose them on my desktop, so I uploaded them to the webmaster group on Slack, and they're there for the next person who's going to take over.
That is correct. We did not mention these channels that have the lock button on there. These mean that they're private channels, and you can set up your own channels, actually, if you just want to have a private group. Maybe you're in a committee, or you're just a few people who like to talk to each other. You could have your own private group. The rest of the membership will not see this. So this NEO STC webmaster is only open to the people who were invited to see that. But Julianne happened to upload a bunch of reference documents regarding our website there, and I was invited to it. But you can upload documents. See if we have any. You can post links, obviously. There was a link that I meant to follow through with. This is the desktop app that Julianne pointed me to get the desktop app. And it is in Slack, and I can also email that to the people on the call as well. But if you just search for this desktop app by Julianne, you will find that, and it'll take you to the website to download the app.
Okay.
Also, if you have any other ideas about any webinars, just sort of impromptu webinars that we might do in the chapter, maybe during these lunch times, if you just want to sit and talk for 30 minutes about fishing or something like that, we put in a request and we might be able to do that. We could have town halls, which are kind of hosted by the leaders of the chapter, and people can just talk about the issues that they might have with STC, and that's a possibility as well. Oh, Kathy has a question. Are you
Trish.
on? Hi.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Topics or questions specific to the board, can we post those in the chapter discussions channel?
If they're specific to the board, you can either,
Like, for example, the planning meeting tomorrow. If we had any, any questions around that, or just anything we wanted to share or ask specific to the officers, or any board topics, could we use the chapter discussions, or should we have a separate channel?
I know that Lisa Scovern set up this meeting notes, and I am not sure who is all invited. I'll just go ahead and open it up. So so far it's these members, and this happens to be a private channel for the board members. But
okay, perfect.
So that's one place to do that.
Okay, Kathleen, I would say, this is Bob. If it's something something that needs clarification, or if it's something that's dealing with something that could be a little bit delicate or something, I would talk directly through a direct message to the either May or Trish. Otherwise, I would encourage the board discussion so others in the chapter can see what the board's doing, so they have a better idea of what's going on. I think that's one of the greatest things about this. By the way, it's very easy to use. And I really do want to open up the lines of communication. I think the more they know about what's being discussed, or what meetings are coming up, or what events are planned, or even if it's about the fact that maybe we're looking to go on the Good Time tour, the Good Time, the cruise down, something like that, that the other people could chime in and say, oh, that's a good idea, or, Saturdays really don't work for me. Why don't we, So I guess that's the only way to answer your question, be the nature of the question to the board.
Okay. Yes, and Julianne suggests we can add new channels as needed too. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else on the line?
I'm glad Sarah pointed out that I've got September 22 on the brain because of Bernard. So it's August 22 for the board meeting. Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. I keep doing that. I keep putting the 22nd of September because of our first meeting. So thank you.
Well, we did not intend to hold everyone throughout the whole hour. Our 30 minutes is up. If you have further questions, you can certainly post them in the Slack group, or send a direct message to any one of us administrators. And I would like to thank everybody for attending. Appreciate your time. We'll have this recording out there for people to watch again. If you forgot anything, or if you just have any questions, jump into Slack and ask any one of us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stop recording now.